Welcome to Ready Set Live. This is Tyler from the RSD crew, and today we're breaking down our favorite constructed decks that we've played since release, as well as talking to Nicholas Kole, artist extraordinaire, and the mind behind beautiful art such as Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, Aurora Dreaming Guardian, and Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor. We're looking forward to talking about all of that and more on today's episode of Ready Set Live. Before we get into it, please remember to like and share the content, as well as subscribe to the channel. Every bit of support helps grow the channel and bring new content to listeners like you. This episode is also sponsored by Texarkana Podcast Studio. Wanting to start your very own podcast or voice web series? Well, Texarkana Podcast Studio is the place for you. Whether it's true crime, sports, murder mystery, or a fun card game you want to talk about with your friends, Texarkana Podcast Studio is here for all of your recording needs. Check out the link in the description below to schedule your first session today. Texarkana Podcast Studio, where your voice is heard. This episode is also sponsored by Maple City Games. Looking for a local game store in your 4 states area of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma? Maple City Games is the place for you. Stocking TCGs such as Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, and Lorcana, Maple City Games is your one-stop shop for all your TCG needs. Check out the link in the description below to check out their location. Maple City Games, come join the fun.
Ready, set, draw!
Welcome back to episode 13 of
Holy
Ready
cow.
Set Live.
We've made it so far.
So far.
We're officially teens now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
good.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
super strange to say
So-
that.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Who are you?
What are they doing here?
What?
That was good.
You know what? I say we keep them.
All right.
Welcome to
Ah.
the video format of Ready Set Live. We are happy to have this visual format. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. You like to look at our beautiful / ugly little faces. I'm talking about myself when I go to the second card.
Oh,
I got to
so
self-deprecate.
sad.
I can't call y'all ugly. You're too good. Anyways, to the topic at hand. What are we discussing today?
Today we are talking about constructed decks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The goodness.
So I think we could have any one of us start because all 4 of us have made decks that we love. We're going to talk about them, talk about strengths and weaknesses of them, things we like most about them, cards that stand out in there, cards that maybe you've tried, didn't work out as well as you thought it would, and maybe some matchup things, just in case someone wants to play that strategy you like. Talk about some matchup considerations they could do, some choices they could have if they're on a budget, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
So who here wants to take the first slot? Anybody?
Don't do this to me. I'll do it.
Okay. All right.
It'll
Tyler.
be me.
All
What
right.
is
I-
your combination of choice?
So typically, it used to be amber. Anything amber, I could just throw it in and be amazing because obviously amber is very diverse in its ability to kind of play around with things. It's got good card draw. It's got healing. It's got a lot of stuff, and it's got the widest base of. Oh no, I guess the widest base of bodyguards is in steel.
I
It's
think the
kind of
same,
it's
honestly.
about the same.
They're very close.
Yeah.
So I really like amber. I typically like pairing amber with emerald because everything that amber likes to do and its healing and its draw lends very well to emerald's control style
Mhm.
of being like, I'm going to put out threats that all have really high lore counts. Deal with me.
Yeah.
And typically you can't.
So your list is an aggressive list.
Yeah,
right?
typically some form of aggro. I think the first emerald amber deck that I built, I kind of want to call it ember now because that actually
Yeah. I like that.
It sounds good. But yeah, so the very first one that I put together was a villains deck. So it kind of heavily leans into Hades, ruler of Olympus. So like that's like the big bad by the very end. So like that's what I want to get to
Mhm.
because it quests for so much because there's so many villains in that deck.
Yeah.
So many good villains. So yeah, that's kind of the direction that I like to lean on.
Okay.
Alex, what about you, man? What are you thinking?
Well, let's go with weaknesses,
So
strengths.
the biggest weakness that I feel like the deck has is once the aggro is gone and the card draw is kind of
Mhm.
run dry, the deck slows down a lot. So like it's really good like up front, but the back end is
Yeah.
a little bit lacking.
So I think we could actually put a deck list on the screen at this moment. So wherever we choose, there will be a deck list on the screen that can kind of stick there just so you can have a reference to what Tyler's talking about. I do want to clarify for anyone who hasn't played TCGs much, by aggro, you shorten the word aggressive.
yeah, it's
but
a
in
very
this
aggressive
game,
deck.
aggressive means lore as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's almost-
lore rush.
We'll
Lore
call
rush.
it Ember Lore Rush.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the weaknesses. You're saying it runs out of gas.
It does run out of gas, and there's not a lot, like, unlike what would be like Emerald Steel, where it's got a lot of the control, but it's got really good card draw, because cards like a Whole New World, like, that's a really good card for Emerald to play with. It doesn't have that. So you have to really rely on either challenging into things and playing stuff like Rapunzel, or allowing your opponent to challenge into your own stuff and have things like Mad Hatter, or the lower end stuff in the aggro or the aggressive section of like 1 and 2 drops with Stitch and Stitch Rockstar. So
Very character based.
you're really having to rely on your good character synergies.
That to me leans toward the fact, if anything is character based draw, it's very top deck sensitive.
Yeah.
Because if you're not drawing those characters rely on other characters getting played.
Yeah.
So if you top deck Stitch Rockstar, that's awesome. But you're gonna have to wait till next turn till you get more cards.
Yeah, and
So.
typically I try to mitigate a lot of that with really good songs like was it Be Our Guest?
Yep.
So Be Our Guest allows you to be able to really work through a lot of your initial issues with card draw, because it's card selection, not card draw. So it allows you to be able to get to stuff that you didn't have in your opening hand, especially if you end up opening with it. It allows the deck to do things that it should be able to do inherently much faster.
Okay.
I know that people at home saw your deck list, but does your version run the just in time package, or do you more do the Stitch Rockstar and low bodies and stuff? Or?
So I initially thought about it. I think I might have it in there now. Initially I did not.
It doesn't really fit with villains as much.
It doesn't. Especially because the only card that you really want to be able to play with that is Cusco.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you can turn
clutch.
3 Cusco, it's really dumb.
Yeah.
Like for any deck that runs green.
I like a lot if it is a just in time version. I have a just in time version.
Yeah, that's
myself.
why I was asking.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Tyler's newest deck, so
There is a lot of Amber stuff. Like even like when you're not playing optimally, if you can just in time a Rapunzel out, that's also
gross.
really good. Just
Yeah.
because you're spending less ink and you can like crank out other low cost stuff on the same turn.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. The question I have about your deck is, what if someone wants to play that strategy on a budget? Is that strategy, would you consider it budget friendly?
There's definitely a budget version of the deck that you can build and it still be good. It's a question of how much Cusco is now.
I think it's only 7.
Is it
So-
only?
Ooh, I think he went up recently though.
Okay.
Recently. As of the recording of this, I'm pretty sure he's in the low teens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe 12.
But he might be the
So-
most expensive card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is probably the most expensive card.
Probably Lilo though.
If
Oh,
you
no,
Lilo's expensive.
yeah, no, Lilo is expensive. It's
Yeah.
easily you're
$20 or
dropping
something.
$20.
Wait,
It's tough.
Lilo is 20?
Yeah.
Lilo's
Yeah.
20 a piece.
It grew.
Bro, I got a foil.
It's 'cause-
one.
it's 'cause the Amber
freaking
decks.
$40.
Yeah. I would
It
say
makes
it's,
me
It's
happy.
pretty stable and all.
there's
Glad I got mine
multiple-
early.
Yeah, there's multiple Amber decks that want to be aggressive with their questing, and she fits into all of them. And I think the reason that Maleficent Biding Her Time isn't mirroring that price is because not every Amethyst deck wants to play Maleficent
That
Biding Her
makes
Time,
sense.
but almost every Amber deck wants to play Lilo.
And
Right.
I will note, please build these decks after September 1st,
Yes,
because
yes, wait.
all those prices will drop.
And also
If you have some pieces, start, but
with
you
the
can,
newest
you can complete it later.
announcement of the increase in total product that's going out to LGSs relatively soon, there's a whole nother wave coming out in October. So
Yeah.
definitely also look for that next set of
There's little
shipment coming out.
checkpoints.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where
there
you can
will be checkpoints
buy
as
some
we go
dips.
along.
But-
So
Yeah.
Awesome.
definitely keep an eye out on it.
One last question.
Yes.
Because I definitely know I want it to be asked about the deck that I talk about. So I'm going to ask it to you. Budget aside,
Yeah.
what is the best, what do you feel like is the best card in the deck? Like you probably see it in all the games that you win with the deck. And what is a card that you're like, I could probably do without it. Whenever I see a better card, it's the first one out.
Okay, so there's 2 cards really and truly that are probably the 2 best cards in the deck, and there are times where I don't want to see one of them,
Okay.
which is kind of weird. So the 2 best cards in the deck are Cusco. Cusco is good in every deck that he has played in. let's just
He's
be
solid.
very frank about this.
Very
He
groovy.
is one of the best cards in the game for some strange reason. And it's because of that ward ability
Yep.
just makes him really good.
And that 3 lore.
And
Three
3,
lore.
yeah,
Don't leave
three
the
lore
3
doesn't
lore
hurt.
out.
It doesn't hurt.
And when you banish him in a challenge, he banishes what banished it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like the whole card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the whole card.
And
the whole
the
card's
art.
really good.
And the art's also great.
Yeah.
And the flavor of no touchy being
Yeah.
his ability.
No touchy.
And he's
Okay.
Emerald. Like,
Yeah.
Wow, we just went on a big tangent. Cusco's a good card.
So Cusco is a really good card. He's probably the best card that I really want to see most of the time. The second card that I really typically want to see, but I always see it at the wrong time, is Mother Gothel. Mother Gothel in that deck, because I run enough bodyguards for it to matter, is really, really hard to get rid of. Because the moment she hits the board, it's so funny to watch people like, wait a minute, what does that do?
no.
I can't. I literally can't do what the game tells me I got to do to win.
Yep.
Okay, that needs to go. I'm like, okay, good luck.
You
Wait,
can-
what do you mean good luck? Well, you can't get rid of it because it
gotta
hasn't
use
been
an
tapped
act,
yet.
some
You
sort
got
of
to use.
action or
You got to
something.
use
Yeah.
something, and then I exert it and like, oh, but I've got these 2 other bodyguards over here, so you got to get through this before you get to that.
That's great. She's good.
So good.
She's a great top end. I like just slapping her down and then just thinking like, you can deal with it. I'm gonna do my thing. It's pretty great.
To kind of like go off of something that I did recently, like when we did the league last week.
Mhm.
One of the things that I did was I played Mother Gothel, and then the very next turn, because he was about to win, he had 18 lore. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I had the Mother Gothel. I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and quest with Mother Gothel, and then I'm going to play Genie, and I'm going to play Mother Knows Best.
Oh my
I'm going to
gosh.
put both of your things. And he was just like, okay.
Yo.
So I'm not going to do anything next turn. I was like, yep. And then the very next turn, I literally top decked another Mother Knows Best.
Oh wow.
I felt so bad. I just looked at him and was like, so I think I might win. And he was like, why? I was like, well, that. And he was like, oh, man. And I was like, yeah, no, dude, that top deck was legit.
Sounds pretty good. I think it's a very appealing strategy for a lot of newer players,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because it does what it do.
It
You know what I
does
mean?
Emerald does Emerald things.
You get to pretty much ignore what the opponent is doing unless you're falling behind. And if you're falling behind, the best case about your deck is you're probably going to have a quick game. You know, so if you're losing, lose quick, go to game 2, try it again.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of reps in. You play some fun cards, high lore. You get to quest all the time. People are always worried because every time you play your first few cards, they're like, oh man. And so you get to see that in an opponent. It's a great strategy.
And it's also
love it.
funny to because the way that I built the deck is a lot of high lore characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are very few characters in the deck that are 1 lore characters.
Yeah.
The vast majority of everything else is 2 and above. And so when one thing comes down, I'm like, oh man, that's 2. That's pretty good. And the next thing comes down, it's 3. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're requesting for how much?
Nothing feels better than some Flynn Riders into
Oh,
yeah.
man.
into some
Flynn Rider's great.
Cuscos, into some Mad Hatters. Like it just feels great.
It's gross. It's all
bunch
gross.
Of, bunch of Emerald stuff. Anyways, thank you for your deck, Tyler.
Yeah,
I hope people appreciate that strategy and hope they want to build it. If you do, here is the deck list again. And on to the next one. Alex, you want to take the next one?
I guess since I'm kind of a segue in between, mine is Emerald Amethyst. So
Seeing a pattern here.
a lot of the Emerald stuff, pretty much play that whole package. High lore characters, annoying to deal with characters. Some that you didn't mention, you just did, Flynn Rider, but Cheshire Cats in my build. I don't know if you run Chesh.
I don't run Chesh.
But
I should.
I run it, and I like Jasper a lot.
I do
very
run
good.
Jasper.
Both of those can sing The Mother Knows Best.
Yes.
So it is nice in a clutch situation.
What's your deck called?
I don't have a good name for it. I just
yes, you do.
oh yeah,
yes,
I do.
you do.
Quest me if you can.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
that name.
so-
Quest me if you
So
can.
definitely another lore rush deck, but it's actually compared to some of the Amber builds more mid rangey
Mhm.
because I don't run out as gas as much because I have the Maleficence, the 3-drop that can draw a card, and I have friends on the other side that can
Yeah.
also be sung with Jasper and Cheshire
That's great.
and
I don't have that.
Maleficent.
Yeah.
So
that density's great.
it helps a lot. And on the top end, which you'll see the deck list on the screen, I do run 2 of the Dr. Faciliers. So when you deal with my Cusco, if he's on the battlefield, he's coming back out.
That's great.
So
that's so. That's
I don't.
so.
It's
so good.
it's one of those that like he's really good late game, and with some of the other decks, like one of the big ones right now is the Ruby Amethyst deck being very control-y. I kind of like my version because it gives me a matchup where I can be sparing in that matchup because it's very popular. So in that matchup, I can hold a couple of cards in my hand because of Be Prepared and stuff like that. But in the more Lore Rush aggro matchups, if I was to play like the Amber version, I would prioritize the cards like Jasper and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Hey, that can't quest next turn. Hey, so try to stop the higher stuff like Mad Hatter and stuff, which is also in my deck. I can't get out as fast because I don't have just in time. But I can kind of stay in the game. Yeah. So really, it has the tempo of asking questions. Am I going to be more controlling because you're the Amber deck and you got out to a faster start, or do I need to race you down because you're controlling me because you got some colors like Ruby or Steel that's really controlling. So I like the hybrid. But I definitely see the really nice of Amber because I've seen some Amber decks that pop off fast. So.
Other than Friends on the Other Side and Maleficent, what other Amethyst cards do you feature in your deck list?
So the Dr. Facilier. But also with that, I play the 3-drop Dr. Facilier.
The song.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you have Mother Knows Best.
Mother Knows Best, 3 friends on the other side, or 4 friends on the other side. But
love that 3-cost song synergy.
Yeah.
I
So
love
there's
that.
a lot. It's very 3-drop heavy in the deck. So when you look at the deck list, you're like, dang, he's got a lot of 3-drops. But at turn 6, if I'm playing 2 3-drops because you just Be Prepared me, I ain't very mad. You know? So I'll drop a Cheshire Cat and maybe play Friends on the Other Side or drop one of the Faciliers. But for the most part, it's been really good. On the top end, I do have a Mother Gothel right now because of that matchup with the Amber. I want to try to get that out as soon as possible.
Such a good card.
But I also have 3 of the Captain. Why am I blanking on his name? Help me out here.
Oh, John Silver.
John Silver, yeah. I have 3 John Silver in the deck to
See,
help.
I'm upset that you have 3 because I only have 2.
I know. But that third one, I don't really want a 4th, and I might get another Mother Gothel and swap out the third one, but just depends on play
I'll trade
and
you.
all that. We'll see. I already have another Mother Gothel. So
I have plenty of Mother Gothel.
I need to play test it a little bit more, but cards, I would say first cut. It might be, it's kind of meta dependent. It might be swapping that Mother Gothel down and adding another John Silver, or the other way around, taking one John Silver down. It's really fine tuning.
Has Cheshire Cat ever disappointed you?
No.
No?
Mainly because I always have Friends on the Other Side or Mother Knows Best. So
I guess that gives him extra value.
yeah, it
That
does.
Really does.
He's definitely one you could come down on those 3 drops. And I could also see the Facilier that sings songs or that lets you look at the top cards of your deck when you sing a song. I could see dropping his count a little bit. And
How much do you play right now?
I play 4.
4 song, and then how many top Facilier?
2.
2.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And I could see going to like 2, 2 or
You're not
3,
ramping,
2.
so you're really going to have to ink a lot to get to the
And
Facilier if you
the
don't have
better
shift.
cards that come out that help the deck speed up a little bit or something like that, I could see the Facilier package in general getting cut. But it's so nice for against those more control-y decks, especially. But since Facilier is only during a challenge, I could see him being cut in the long run. It's just he's great. He's great value and he's a pet card.
Yeah.
But I could see trying to speed up the deck a little bit more and make it a little less mid-range. But I like the option right now because you just don't know what you're playing against.
So how about the budget of your deck? Would
It's
you
actually
consider it?
very budget.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, Friends on the Other Side, Dr. Facilier, Maleficent, all the Amethyst stuff comes in the
Rares
starter
or less,
deck.
and it comes. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, you need multiple copies, but they're super cheap.
Yeah.
The Emerald stuff, John Silver's one of the cheapest legendaries there is.
So upsetting.
Mother Gothel, well, just when people start seeing our deck list everywhere, it's gonna go up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Y'all see this deck list? Get you some right now because he is dirt cheap. Mother Gothel's
really
cheap.
is.
I mean, really, the most expensive card is Cusco.
Yeah. How much is Genie?
Genie's only a couple dollars, like $3-4.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
Love it.
Wait,
the
Genie.
Genie on the job.
Genie
yeah.
on the job.
Super
All right, let me go
playable.
ahead and pick up 4 of them. Should I wait till after September 1st, though?
If it's really cheap, I don't know if it's going to move that much.
Yeah, I think
but
it's. You're
let's-
looking it up.
I'm looking it up
Tyler's
right
looking
now.
it up.
Okay.
But
I got
besides
you.
that, while Tyler's looking it up, Cusco is the most expensive card in the whole deck. So it is more
Yeah.
budget than his because I don't have Rapunzel's, which is an expensive card.
Even stuff like Maximus that would be in his, I'm guessing. The Palace Horse, I'm guessing that's also not going to be
I don't even run
equivalent.
Maximus.
Oh, well, he's pretty
He's
decent.
supposed to be
pretty
in
decent.
there.
You just need some.
I don't. I only have one.
Oh.
I want to talk about it.
Can't trade any.
Building with limitations is where creativity
Yeah.
shines.
But it's really budget. I mean,
Genie
there's-
on the job is $4.
yeah,
That's
$4.
$4.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty good.
Get you a playset for $12 or what? Not 12, $16 math.
Quick
So good thing I fixed myself. The comments would have told me real fast.
Flamed.
this guy's dumb.
They literally,
comments.
literally the second I say it, and then the second afterwards,
actually, yeah.
do it. I'll like it. I will instantly
Yeah.
like it. But yeah, that's mine. But overall, very budget, very very friendly, and it's probably not top tier deck, but it's that hybrid in between where you can compete against both decks. You may not win. It just depends on your draws.
Okay. Well, I have a conflict of the heart because the deck that I want to talk about or wanted to first was my Ruby Emerald Tempo deck.
Special shout out.
It is a Lorcana Lessons feature. It's going to be in an upcoming gameplay coming on the channel. It is one of my favorite strategies. However, it relies on a lot of the same cards that Tyler and Alex have discussed. So it's a lot of Emerald synergy of just putting down characters that force your opponent to do something, or quest for so much that if they don't, you're going to game 2. And it also has the Ruby cards that are evasives because Emerald has evasives as well, which are hard to deal with. Yada yada yada. You get it. Instead, I'm going to focus on the other aspect of the game that I really really love, and it is ramping.
Ramp City.
Sugi from Lorcana Cast helped me put together a list, and boy, does that list just really hit all the notes that I want. It has cards that I didn't like that I now like. It has cards cut from it that I liked that now I'm glad I cut. So it's been a huge learning experience, and that combination is Sapphire Amethyst. So to continue off your Amethyst calling card, my issue was my first deck I built that was ramp was Steel Sapphire. It played Bell. It was really, really reliant on a whole new world. You play some kind of 5-ink character, and then on the next turn, you play Bell, sing a whole new world, refresh, and go from there. But if you didn't have a whole new world, you ran out of cards really quick because you were just bleeding cards onto the table and inking cards over and over again. Your hand's empty by turn 5, and if you're not top decking really high quality cards, you will give your opponent time to catch up and ink, and you ramped for no reason. So the hard part about building a ramp deck is you have to have a balance of ways to get the ramp you want, pay off once you get there. And Amethyst really shines with that because I was able to say, okay, I don't need a whole new world. I don't want to give you cards whenever I'm getting cards. I don't want to use a whole new world just to try and make you discard stuff that you've been holding on to. Instead, I'm going to keep my card draw. I'm going to play Maleficent because Maleficent is going to draw me a card, and if it's inkable, there's my ink for the turn, and I have a character that can quest. I'm going to play Frenzy on the other side because I have Mickey Mouse Detective, who's a 3-cost card. I have Bell Engineer right now, who's a 3-cost card. And I have Maleficent, who's a 3-cost card. So I have a lot of stuff that can sing friends. And the cream of the crop of the deck, Grandma Tala, one jump ahead. Ideally, you get them out early, so you mulligan pretty hard for those. But the card I had to cut that I usually love in ramp decks, Fishbone Quill. It is a one of in the deck because I cannot tell you how many times I played a ramp deck and I top deck Fishbone Quill.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, if this was any character that can quest, I can start putting a clock on the game. But now I just gave them another turn. They can quest for free. Nothing's a problem for them. So what the deck plays that I love that I did not like before, it plays Mufasa, King of the Pride Lands. A simple 6-ink 4/6 with 3 lore.
Have you had your Mufasa taken out by a stampede yet?
Yes. No, I haven't. No, I haven't actually. No, that would be sad.
It's a flavor.
sad.
It's a flavor win, but it's
Yeah.
also incredibly saddening.
I'll probably
because
win that
it's
game before they can do that because
it's-
Stampede's a bad card.
This is a children's game,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So it plays Mufasa. It plays Chief Tui. It plays Maleficent Uninvited. It plays Hades, Infernal Schemer. But Hades is technically a substitute right now for Elsa, Spirit of Winter, because I don't own any Elsas. I'm really trying to get a high density of things that can quest for 3, because those, as Anthony has learned in other games against me,
The hard way.
they put such a clock on the game.
It's very much pressure.
You can't let a character like that just quest because it in combination with stuff like Eye of the Fates in the deck, you basically have discount Mickey Brave Little Tailors every single
stay
turn.
tuned to that gameplay.
Yeah.
Very soon.
So-
We'll
Don't
be
watch
coming
it.
out with
Yeah.
that.
Don't
So-
watch
No,
it.
definitely watch it.
So
You can complain at the end, but definitely watch it.
yeah, you're gonna want to see that game. It was nice.
Oh, it was something else.
So the thing about the strategy is it's very weak to aggressive strategies. So Tyler's deck, his deck that he's talking about where he's rushing really quick and trying to quest as fast as possible, the color combination only has Let It Go and Hades for single target removal. Or if it had Elsa, it would eventually lock something down. But I don't think the deck would have quick enough of a turnaround to ramp up to Elsa and slow them down fast enough. It's just really, really tough. So that deck would put a really quick clock on the game, and I don't think I would be able to. I would have to like play the control-y side of things when the deck doesn't really lean into that very much.
Yeah, because you're wanting to ramp out and they're questing
So
and you're wanting to ramp.
I would have a lot of dead draws
Yeah.
in that game where I'm drawing cards that don't do much. But the matchup where it shines is against other slow decks because you have they're not pressuring you with lore early on. They're not questing very much and putting a clock on you, so you have time to ramp and then immediately get to payoff. And the best possible scenario is you're playing a deck that plays a whole new world because you are going to just throw cards down and they play a whole new world because they have to or because they just feel like it. It gives you a completely new hand to keep on ramping.
I
And
feel like I'm getting
new.
called out right now.
No, I'm just saying that's my problem with a whole new world is I can think of more situations where I like it to be played against me than I like playing it. And
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. It's
Yeah.
either good in the like discard decks.
Mhm.
They're trying to make you will,
Mhm.
or it's only good if it's sung.
yeah,
I don't like it if it's like, ooh, I spent 5 ink and all I have left is like 3 more ink and I can play 1. And then
Yeah.
they're like, next turn they're like, oh baby, it's
Yeah.
on. Any deck will be happy with that.
So as far as the budget goes, the build that I have that Sugi helped kind of craft with me, it is a Bell deck.
I was about to say it's
So
relatively budget.
It has, but the thing is, Bell is just a game closer in the deck. You aren't necessarily using her to get extra ink per turn.
yeah.
So you honestly could replace her with any like 2 lore quester or maybe a 4th Eye of the Fates to get extra lore. And the thing about the ramp deck that I have is it plays stuff like Mufasa, Maleficent Uninvited, Chief Tui, Friends on the Other Side, Maleficent from like starter deck Amethyst cards, and like rare, uncommon, and common Sapphire cards. It has Hades, Infernal Schemer too. He's a top end. So I would say it's like if you are willing to like spend money on the primo cards, if you want to
Yeah,
get
Elsa
like,
would be one of those too
yeah,
if you got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
if you want to spend money on like one card that you want to use across a lot of decks, if you already own Bells or already own Elsas, you can so easily build this ramp deck. So the deck list. Do y'all have any questions?
Yeah, I need to know cut.
Oh,
First cut.
First cut of the deck will probably. Ooh, that's tough. Mufasa. The moment I can get another 3 lore character,
Yeah, I can see
Because
that. Because you already got
6
Chief Tui.
I already have Chief Tui, and 7 ink's not hard to get to.
Yeah.
Mufasa can be replaced, but it would have to be another exactly 3 lore character. Another cut that I could see happening would be Belle, Inventive Engineer.
Yeah.
Right now, she's only there because she can sing Friends on the
Another
Other Side.
good 3 drop.
Yeah, and she does technically make Eye of the Fates cheaper or Ursula's Cauldron cheaper.
Yeah.
But that's another good 3 drop could replace that. Elsa, Snow Queen would replace her if I had the top Elsa. But that's a pretty good cut.
How many top Elsa do you need?
3. I'd say 3.
Yeah, two minimum.
Yeah, 2 minimum, 3. Because
Might
you can
have
get
a
there.
conversation.
But either way, that is my deck. Anthony, what is yours?
Well, like you, I had a deck that I really wanted to talk about. But last night I had an experience where I need to wait because
Wait, you're not talking about it?
I'm not talking about it.
I
So-
am in shock.
So just for everybody to know, I really love the Ruby Amethyst. I love it. I think it is actually my
All you
favorite deck.
people who love that deck.
I love it.
Yes.
He loves it
It's
too.
just, oh man, it's great.
So what you're
But-
telling me is you love a meta deck.
Yeah, but I actually picked
feel like I
it
should just
before.
mark
he
out
he
right
picked
now.
it
I picked it
before.
before
He
I
picked
even
it,
knew.
yeah.
He
Oh, okay.
built that deck when we opened all of our first stuff in the house. He was like, I like this idea.
combo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's changed a little bit since
Yeah,
then,
for
but
sure.
and it's gotten more meta. But he worked it before it became like super
The
popular.
meta.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it before we even, was opening cards. I was looking videos up and
Yep.
using the little app and making it and stuff.
We
You've
say,
been looking
we
at
say
some
meta,
things.
but there's been one little tiny tournament
Right.
and nothing. there's an infinitely more amount of games you're
Well,
going to be
and of
playing.
course, I mean, once you get to like this deck is top, everyone's playing this. It's like, well, now everyone's just going to play this and
counter it,
Counter
yeah.
it. I
Right.
mean, there's always going to be something.
Exactly.
So what deck are you going to talk about? I'm curious.
going to talk about Amber Amethyst.
Amber
Ooh.
Amethyst.
And there's some guy on YouTube, he made a name for it. He called it AM aggro. Just
AM.
because Amber Amethyst.
yeah.
Yeah. I just call it Stitch aggro. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just simple with it. But
You can call it AM squared.
Mm-hmm.
you could. But I really like it because it plays into my style of back when we play Hearthstone. I loved the Murloc deck.
Yes.
Just throwing everything in your hand down, or the Hunter decks where you were just spamming the board.
Face
Yeah.
Hunter, that brings
Go
back
Face
some days.
Hunter. Oh my gosh, that was just
Let me hit you with my action.
exactly.
Let me hit you with my action.
I really loved it because it was almost in a sense mindless,
Mhm.
and it was quick games.
Exactly.
The quick games is really what.
Did you build
what
a
gets
helmet
me.
deck? Just okay. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. So I like it because it's very cheap. Get the starter deck.
Yeah.
Like get 2 of them and you're almost there. Like
You
literally,
just need Rockstar, right? That's it.
that's it.
pretty much.
Rockstar.
Question. What about the Lilos? Yeah.
The Lilos make it a look.
Okay.
Because the Lilo makes it really
so
work.
overall, you
Mhm.
need 15, 20, or no, I'm sorry, 15, 30, 45, 60. Okay.
Numbers are relative
So,
at this point.
60, and then
These numbers could change literally
Four-
tomorrow.
4 more Lilos. That's 20, 40, 60, 80. So you basically need about 140 plus 2 starter decks. That's it.
Cheaper
Yes.
than some decks.
Sure. That's cheaper than some
Definitely
decks.
cheaper
though.
Listen, I don't know
someday,
where all
yeah.
those numbers came from, but
So
it's probably mid price.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just because Lilo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stitch Rockstar is basically about 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know,
60
and
bucks
you-
for
and
him.
you need 4 of him.
And
60.
technically, you can make it work without those.
Yeah, you can make it work without
Of course,
Rockstar.
any deck you can make any deck work. It's just more.
Yeah, you pull a
optimized with-
couple
Yeah.
Lilos,
Yeah.
great. If then get some Maleficent biting your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you know
Oh, I
she's
forgot
cheaper.
about her.
Yeah, she's cheaper.
Well, I actually run those in the deck too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, but
Exactly.
But yeah,
So what's
Yeah, I
the,
traded you those.
What is the
thanks.
matchup that scares you the most, and what's the one that you're, really rubbing your hands together for?
I really like. I hate playing against Emerald.
Emerald.
No matter what deck I have,
Yeah.
I don't want to play against the Emerald deck.
That's a
I'm
great compliment to
traumatized by
Emerald.
Alex. Like we talked about this last podcast. We won't talk about this again.
Can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But
So what you need to do is you need to change up. You need to come to my side.
right,
Well, he cuts one of his colors or ink colors, and he adds Emerald. He's up. He's literally R2.
we're good.
Yeah.
But I really like playing against control decks because
Yeah.
they're going,
Yeah.
or any slow deck in general. They're going pretty slow, or a mid range deck. Honestly, I just got the mulligan super heavy,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to go for a turn 3 stitch.
It's
you
the
know?
rock paper scissors of
Exactly.
it. Yeah, that's pretty great.
And because I just found out about the combo, like this could have been in the segment, but I'll talk about this now. I just found out about the combo of using Lantern to get the turn 3 stitch out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm out
today
here
I
just-
learned.
Today I learned.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that I had to wait to turn 4 to get the stitch out, and then now Alex is on turn 5 letting it go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really like the deck because like I said, it's quick games, super quick games.
It's nice to have the quick games, and it's nice. Like I think you talked about this last time in the control decks, where you can you play all your cards, you see everything because you're getting to control the game.
sure.
But sometimes you just want to play a couple fast games.
exactly.
Mhm.
You know, hey guys, we only got 20, 30 minutes. Oh, we can get 2 or 3 games
Exactly.
in.
Yeah.
I may
Exactly.
lose, you may crush me,
Exactly.
but I may beat you really fast. So.
So you're gonna play a Lore Rush deck. You're gonna play a Lore Rush deck. I'm gonna play a Lore Rush deck. He's gonna play Ramp. We'll get done. We'll
Yeah.
get done with like 5 games in an hour.
Right. Right.
So are there any cuts that you would immediately think of, like, I don't really like this card that much?
In my deck list, I
Perfect
think
cards.
the,
Just all-
the first cards I would get right, they're just bomb pristine. I would get rid of the Mickey Mouse combo or
The brooms?
the brooms and the Mickey. I
Oh.
like adding. I added that in here recently.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. Like they work very well together,
Mhm.
and I can add stuff back into the deck or whatever. Or
It's always nice to add a friends on the other side back into your deck.
exactly,
Or
it's-
that rock star if he gets taken
Uh-huh.
care of.
And it's another target to sing "Be Our Guest" as well. The brooms are.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you know, I
Sweet.
definitely cut that entire package first.
All right.
And, then
what's
after that, probably the Minnie Mouse is actually pretty dope. I like the Minnie Mouse.
Yeah,
I
she's
really
great.
like the
She
Minnie
works with
Mouse.
Rockstar, too.
Yeah,
Good stats.
Yeah, I would say, I would then ask, what is the card that you just do? I'd have to pry it out of your hands. It's been so good to you.
Okay, so ignore Stitch. We're
Yeah.
we're gonna ignore Stitch.
Yeah, 'cause he's like
that's
the
He's the
combo.
engine of the
Exactly.
deck. It's what
Let's
makes it
see.
run.
For me, I would have to say that you would have to pry out of my hand because I've loved this card ever since I figured out how to use it. Befuddle.
Oh,
I
yes.
love Befuddle, even though later in the
I-
game it's not as good.
Yeah.
I love that card.
I'm gonna
man.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
go ahead
love
and tell
that
you right
card.
now.
It's good.
I don't like you because of that.
Yeah.
Because our game, you played it against me, and I was like, huh,
It ruins everything.
that really sucked.
Yeah, because I don't want to deal with Flynn Riders early on. You know.
Yeah.
I just want to.
That's really true.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a good setup.
Or
It's
befuddle your own thing back and draw with
Exactly.
Stitch. So I
Yeah.
can see it being in the
Yeah.
deck.
he,
Sweet.
see, he befuddled my Pascal, and I had already gotten 2 characters on board. And I was like, okay, we're good. I got my lore battery on board. It's all gonna be great. Yeah, I'm gonna befuddle that back to your hand. I'm like,
Now you
Okay.
can't
So
leave
then-
it in.
So then he took your Pascal out, or he befuddled the Pascal back.
he befuddled it back to my
Oh.
hand. And so at that point, I was like, I don't have ink right now, and I need other cards to be out on the board.
Pascal
so
went to ink.
Pascal went to ink.
Yeah.
That's not the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
It's
worst
not,
case,
but
he like bounces the other one. Pascal's open now,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes your Pascal out too without you getting free ink. So he could it,
could have been worse.
depending on what he had. So that's
Okay.
crazy.
Could have been a boat.
I love Befuddle.
Well,
Love it.
That's a pet card for you.
Exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
super hot on that card, but I like the flexibility in that
Yeah.
deck for sure.
so that makes Amber, Amethyst, aggro, lore rush. I talked about Sapphire, Amethyst, ramp. You talked about Amethyst, Emerald, mid range. So like not as lore rushy, but definitely putting some pressure on.
Yeah, definitely compressor.
And then you have Emerald,
Emerald
Amber,
Amber.
lore rush. So a lot of aggression going on here, and I'm the only one trying to slow things down a little bit. I'm trying to have a good moment with you.
Why is everybody
Why do
being
y'all wanna
so
end these
aggressive?
games so fast? I just want to play. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed these deck lists. Hopefully you found a strategy that you liked. And if you did, go down to the comments section. Let us know what you're trying out and make the same arguments that we made, because I would love to see different deck ideas that the community is brewing up. See what you liked, what hasn't worked for
For
you. That's
sure.
also great.
Yes.
Yeah, give us that feedback on what you like, because as a community, we decide how the game shifts and turns in response to one another. So, yeah, the next segment we have up, we're gonna take a short little break before we get there, but we are gonna come back with the artist Nicholas Kole.
Yes. So excited.
Hey.
See you soon, folks. Welcome back, guys. As you can see with the on-screen edition, we have a very special guest with us here today. It is the artist of, I know, my favorite card arts in the entire
Oh, yeah.
game. No schmoozing, Nicholas Kole himself. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi.
Welcome to the channel.
Welcome. Nice.
No.
Well,
Right at that moment,
I have a little bit
we
of...
seem to have stalled out.
Oh,
We're good.
We're back.
We're good.
Okay, we're
Technical
back.
difficulties will happen. We're good.
Yeah, what'll happen? So yes, please introduce yourself to those of you who may not know you for the guest.
Absolutely. Hi. Yeah, I'm Nicholas Kole. I'm an illustrator and character designer. I've been doing this for about 15 years almost. And most recently got on board with Lorcana and did 10 different cards in set 1, which was like a huge privilege. And I'm really excited about how it came out. And I thought I would be immune to the hype, but now I'm building decks and going to booster drafts.
That's
so
what we like to
That's
hear.
it.
We're going to be
That is
talking
it.
about that very
Yeah.
soon.
awesome.
So I think, Alex, you had a question you wanted to start off for.
Yeah, we have a few questions that we have here, and I'm going to start off with the first one. So basically, your career path, you chose to be an artistic, designer, and I guess I don't know if you've always done TCGs. I definitely would like to hear what you've done before. But what influences had led you down this path to where you've gotten to, and then what ultimately was the reason you started doing it for card games and stuff like that, and just the whole experience with Disney, kind of reaching out and everything.
For sure, yeah. This is my first CCG. It's
Okay.
actually my first like physical game art
Okay.
so far. My background is primarily in video games, but I've been freelancing as an illustrator and character designer across like toys. I worked for Hasbro and Mattel briefly, for shows and movies. I did, there's a movie that just came out on Netflix last Christmas that I got to design characters for. A lot of the stuff that I do, though, is video game character design. So Spyro Reignited Trilogy and the Crash Bandicoot
Yes, that's
4
so
and
awesome.
Rumble that just came out. A lot of those characters were characters I got to help design. So, I've always loved drawing, obviously, and I've always been drawn to a particular kind of stylized, cartoony, Disney-influenced sort of visual look for the work that I do. Just because it was just part of my DNA. It was something that I loved growing up. Um, and slowly that evolved into a little fledgling portfolio when I first started doing this back in like 2009. And I walked up to a booth for Disney Publishing in New York Comic Con. And just there was a guy leaning against the booth, and he had the badge on, and I was like, "Do you look at portfolios?" And he was like, "Nah."
Not
Oh,
at all.
okay. He was like, "Well, hold on. No, I mean, I'm not doing anything else. Like, I'll take a look at it." And that guy turned out to be Nachi, who was one of my editors for years after that. It was an awesome gig. I
Wow.
did a couple books with Disney Publishing, including one for Maleficent, and then
Super cool.
years passed, and that Maleficent art all filtered sort of around Pinterest and the internet, and then
Yeah.
suddenly Shane Hartley reached out to me about Lorcana at the very
Love that
beginning of the
guy.
project, and that particular Maleficent art was all over the like mood board, vision board for what they
Yeah.
wanted things to look like. So
That is
was how I got
that is
it.
very special. I think that I think I told you this whenever you were signing my card at Gen Con. I know that was this very special memory for me, but I know there were thousands of people that were at Gen Con, so like the personality overload of just a huge crowd can make everything blend together.
Hmm.
But it's I think in that moment I said something to the effect of, how does it feel to know that your art is like the first art many people will experience, even when they're like at Walmart looking at the game for the first time. So your
Yeah.
art gets a lot of eyes, and I think Shane Hartley was like, I think you just scared the man.
That moment, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's definitely something that I think is a huge accomplishment. I think you deserve all the props.
For sure.
To speak on your career for a second, I know it's really cool for me to look back on my life and think, I remember my brother getting me this Spyro Reignited trilogy for a birthday. And I remember asking him, like, is this just a reskin? Like, I love Spyro, but is it just a reskin? And when I played the game the first time, I noticed how the grass moved. And then the first time I opened up a dragon, it had a personality, it had scales, it had a unique visual, whereas every other dragon in the old Spyro was just the same polygons recolored,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep.
So I just want to ask, like, what pushed you into video game design? Was there a specific game that you played that pushed you into video game character design in particular, or?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, before I answer that, I wanted to speak on Spyro because I think what's really special about that being like a remake is that it means that the little differences stand out because they're the things that suddenly leap out in terms of contrast. And so sometimes the stuff that we do as artists, like it blends into the background. It's just part of the mix, part of the flavor. You're not necessarily like understanding where that ends and something else begins and why you like something. But with Spyro, it was really cool to be able to do that because those blades of grass suddenly seem, oh, whoa, you notice them because that's very new. But all the rest is something that's familiar. So those dragons in particular were like a really fun thing. And, certain things mixed with mixed reviews from the fandom because people just love, their memory of what that was like too. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a balancing act, but
Yeah.
it was a cool project for that particular reason. But in terms of games that got me into it, I mean, Spyro played a part in that. My sister and I played that growing up, passing the controller back and forth, and that was a really great early gaming memory.
You died. It's my turn.
Totally, exactly. Yeah. Run after that little egg thief until you get so exasperated you throw the
my
controller
gosh.
across the room.
I'm
Then it's
done.
my
I'm
turn.
done with this.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so yeah, was there another other than Spyro? I know you, or I guess tied to Spyro, not other than like when you're talking about the little differences that stick out in a remake. I think that kind of does tie to Lorcana a little bit in that these characters are very familiar to people, and when they see Maleficent, for instance, and she appears with like more bluish skin than she's used to because it's a sapphire card that you drew. Like there's subtle background details. Like how much leeway can you have as an artist? I know they'll send it back to you if they don't like it, but how much leeway do you have to like change subtle things? And how careful are you to tweak those small things in a character that people are so familiar?
Yeah, well, in this particular case, there's a sort of there's lanes that are narrower, and then they get increasingly wide. So, is it Storyborn are the
Hmm.
canon Disney characters? That's a
Yep.
pretty
Yeah.
narrow lane in terms of what you can add. That gets really down to style, the way that I might draw a hand a little bit, or the areas of the cloth that drapes in a sort of dramatic way. That's where you can kind of be more expressive. Um, but then onto Dreamborn and then Floodborn, those are like increasingly more artistically kind of diverging from the original source material, and so we get to be more expressive in those ways. So like getting to do Brave Little Tailor Mickey was like mwah, perfect. It was just like
Yeah.
Oh, I
incredible
agree.
classic
Yeah.
character and like very much this like high adventure fairy tale aesthetic that's like really my jam, and getting to do those both at the same time was really like that was cool. But Maleficent, like when you're working on a character that's so iconic and you're looking back at the original frames of animation, and it's just there's little that you're like, oh, I have notes. It's like, how dare you, like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and I think that's true of all of us. Lorcana, there's incredible artists from these classic Disney movies who knew exactly what they were doing, and it's honestly kind of a thrill just to discover how good they were at what they did as you draw it yourself, and you're like, oh damn, that's a good shape, like
Yeah.
For sure.
So before I segue to the next question, because you addressed the card, I have to bring it up.
Mm.
It is kind of not a meme on the channel, but a very established
It's right there.
identity. There is a card. There is a
Hi, buddy.
card that I every time in any of our box openings we've done, and anytime I play it, I freak out. And it's not fake.
I've
It is
seen this in one of
complete-
your box openings.
It's
Okay.
100%
I didn't know if you
real.
watched it.
I
In
did.
Anthony's box, I lose my mind every single time I see that little sword of scissors.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh, it's
good,
great.
man.
I've
And-
I've equated it, and I don't know how familiar you are with other TCGs, but I've literally said it's the Charizard of,
Yes.
of Lorcana.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
so Charizard, how iconic it is for Pokemon, like Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor
Yeah.
is that card. Like people
Yeah.
freak out when they see it, so that's
Yeah.
it's insane.
It's
It's
Mickey
box art.
BLT. Oh my gosh.
I just wanted you to know it's appreciated. It gets a little inner child in me to be like, it's a Mickey Mouse.
I
You
go
know?
back and rewatch that.
I
And just
remember that
how
feeling.
much we laughed.
Yeah.
We laughed. It was so
Yeah.
funny.
I had to make it a moment in the video of like I lose it 3, 2, 1, and it happens. So anyways, yeah, I had to bring it up. I'm glad.
Oh, I
you
mean,
said it.
I was a huge Pokemon fan as a kid, and so
Yeah.
collecting those cards and opening boosters and just hoping for a Charizard and finally
Exactly.
getting one, like it's honestly something I thought about a lot when we were doing these cards was the feel should have that impact, that sort of there's a specialness. There's not a lot of words for it because it's a visual thing that's hard to describe, but as you're making decisions, you gotta try and make sure that somebody who's excited about it has a good reason to be excited
Well,
about
I
it.
think you've done it. Like I said,
Yeah, for
he
sure.
freaked out
Living
about it just as much as he would have with Charizard. So
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of the game as a whole, you did kind of point to it a little bit earlier, is the fact that you have now started building decks. And
Oh, yeah.
so I do kind of want to ask, what?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What has been your experience thus far as like actually not just designing the card, but actually being a part of the game and being a part of the thing that you've kind of helped design as far as the art in the game is? It's got to be a very surreal moment of looking at those and be like, I did that,
Yeah.
and people like this like a lot.
See, that last part, the fact that people like it a lot is enormously gratifying. And, like, yeah, I guess the word humbling fits really well because you feel like you're just a small part of such a huge thing. Disney means so much to so many different people, and it's such a part of their childhoods that, like, just getting to kind of be a part, like a little fraction of touching that together. It's almost like I'm part of that moment of hype with you guys, too. It's like, I got to draw Mickey, and they're like, this is really good, and we're both kind of geeking out about kind of the same thing in a way. But it's super surreal. It's really fun. I was nervous, as anybody would be, when you're illustrating these, we didn't necessarily know how the game would shape up gameplay wise. But it's incredible. It's really, really fun. It's easy to learn. The sort of strategic choices are really the more I play, the more I realize like inking something versus not inking something really changes the game.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
making those decisions in real time. I mean, my wife keeps kicking my ass. Like she's handing me on a consistent basis. She just has more of a gut feel for like what to sacrifice and what not. And
Yeah.
I feel
I'm
like
inking things that the next turn I'm like, why did I do that?
I feel like for you, it's got to be hard to ink like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
Or Maleficent. Like when you do it, you're like, I can't do it. I can't do it. You know? He's staying in my hand forever.
And I got to know in the household, when you play one of the cards that you illustrated, how many times did it take for you to stop mentioning that you illustrated it?
It doesn't go that way here, but I will say I continue to milk the okay. Nick, it's your turn to draw a card, and I say, "Oh, I usually do."
That's pretty good. Until you said it, I was like, what is he? Oh, that's awesome.
Your
Nick, don't
wife
forget to
is-
draw. I'm like, I never forget. It's just every which way. I'm
That's
it's
great.
long since lost its flavor. It's like chewing gum, like 20 minutes in, but
Oh gosh.
working the joke into the ground.
So first deck, sealed event, kind of go
Yeah.
over that with us. Like what your deck in your hand, what'd you have in your hand there?
Oh, for that. Well, it was a booster draft, so
Okay,
it was
booster draft.
just chaos.
Of
And
course,
once
of course,
again,
of course. Just grab the best cards you can. So
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I actually played. It was kind of a blur. Grab the best cards you can, hope for the best. The guy right across from me, though, like he knew. Like the
Oh.
moment he saw the color of a card, he knew which one it was and he knew what it did, like that. And I knew I was screwed. He wiped the floor with me again like 3 times in a row. But it was fun. I still like losing. I feel like I learn a little
Oh,
bit more
yeah.
each time. I feel motivated to be like, okay, this time I'm gonna figure it out. I even tuned into the Twitch stream of the Lorcana HQ championships like
Yeah.
last night. And while they were playing, I was like, oh, I gotta build a Ruby Amethyst.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
we have someone with that deck
Yep.
here in our
Yes.
presence,
It's
Anthony.
right over there.
Anthony's got it, and it's dirty. It's a dirty deck
Yeah.
That control is brutal. It's really intense.
for sure, for sure. So have you built anything yet, or just done the draft so far?
No, yeah. This is my Steel Sapphire Steel Sapphire that I've been tweaking, trying to make it
Nice.
work like with items and Ariel Who's It Collector, and try and get that combo going.
My
For sure.
man.
If you get it to work, let me know because no luck so far.
It's kicking my butt. Yeah, it's such a
Yeah.
like in my mind, it's really cool, and in
Yeah.
practice, I haven't
When
been able
I've
to
when
do it
I've
yet.
built that deck to try to combo it out, it always has to go. Sorry, still I have to go to Amethyst because you
Yeah.
just need the card draw so bad. So,
Totally.
but still nice because it's got the mass card draw with a whole new world and everything. So it's
Yeah,
nice.
Whole New World is an interesting.
It's
such
very
a
interesting. We're both
weird thing to do because it gives the other player advantage.
Exactly.
Too, right? So it's tricky.
Anthony, did you have something you were going to ask?
Yes. So going into card art, one of the first cards I saw and noticed and just went insane about was Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer. And I was looking at it. Purple is one of my favorite colors, the color
Same.
of royalty. So
Hell yeah.
I automatically went with Amethyst. So I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this card looks just so amazing. And Jacob and the rest of the guys were like, yeah, man, that's a Nicholas Cole card. I was like, I don't know who Nicholas Cole is at the time, but I was like, that's pretty dope. And then another card that I really liked was the Elsa, another Amethyst card. I'm like, man, these cards are just dope. And Jacob was like, that's another Nicholas Cole card. I was like, okay,
Nicholas
all
Cole.
right, I know
He's
I've
pretty
heard of him
And
before.
what was the Ruby card you pointed out? It was Aladdin.
Hero
Yeah,
Outlaw.
Heroic
Yeah.
Outlaw.
Yep.
Yeah,
Another one.
And it was like all the cards I was pointing out were like your cards. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't really know any of the other artists, but I know your name.
Yeah.
So, but what I really wanted to ask you was, people are always, they're saying I like your art, but what are some arts that you really like? Like, who are some artists and what's some card art that you really like?
Ooh, easy question. Yeah. I try to remember her last name, Milika. I do not remember exactly how to spell or pronounce her last name, but she did the Stitch Enchanted card for
The
Carefree Surfer.
Carefree
She did
Surfer?
Jumba Jukiba as well. And both those cards, I think the art is just sick. I
We'll
really
throw
love
the
it.
Yeah,
image on
these-
the
these
screen
cards
at
will
the
be
same
put
time
on the
people can
images,
see
so-
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cookie Cookie's incredible. So Cookie doing
yeah.
Giant Tinkerbell and his Beast card. I
Those
don't
are
play it
great.
too much, but like I love looking at it. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
definitely
for sure.
I love the cards you're talking about. Like Giant Fairy is a card that I think a lot of people have gravitated to. Of like that is really special, and I know that some art has taste. There's some people who like they see an art piece and it doesn't really do anything for them. And it's interesting to me that even in the limited number of cards, the 204, I guess with Enchanted, 216 cards that have come out, there's already some, even within a realm of like, I guess because of Dreamborn, limited ability to really change the characters that much. We're still seeing diversity of art style. And I like that this game already has like something for everybody. Because I would definitively say that like the Beast Wolfsbane is a different style than yours. I would not fool that card for a Nicholas Cole card.
Sure.
And it's not lesser, it's just different. And it really appeals to some people where it might not to others. I would wonder, other than those two, was there any artists that you were directly responsible for bringing into Lorcana? Like, I know you didn't bring those in, but were there people that
Kinda.
you
I
knew
mean-
kind
Or
of?
suggesting,
Yeah,
in a
suggesting.
sense.
Yeah, I've definitely been like trying to pull in my buddies. I don't know that I'm directly responsible for bringing John Lauren in, but he and I have worked on projects together for like a decade.
Oh wow.
And every like video games, movies, animated shows, whatever it is, we're just buddies, and we both just kind of run together wherever we go. He did the Robin Hood, the only Robin Hood in the first set. And it's super great. And he's,
a really good art.
I know he's got, there's more coming. So his stuff is really sick and definitely a name to keep an eye on. I'm still working some connections and trying to pull a couple other buddies in, but
For sure.
my friend Luis Huerta is also another person I think I may have had a little bit to do with pulling on board. But I mean, they're all super talented in their own rights, so it's it's not like they needed my help to get on board.
for sure.
But
Just making the connection.
yeah, totally. There's I mean, even that Beast card you mentioned, Jeff Murchie is the artist on that one, and he was like the senior artist at my very first gig coming out of school. So I started at a company called 38 Studios doing kind of creature concept art for an MMORPG that never made it out into the world. But Jeff Murchie was like the senior guy. I was kind of his like the Robin to his Batman at that time.
Nice.
Nice.
He taught me the ropes. So really cool to see him come back around.
Yeah. So among the 10, because I know you only drew 10 cards in the set. Among the 10, was there a card that you had a more difficult time than others honing in on the final concept of?
Yeah, definitely. Let me think about that. Who's in the mix there? I think Aladdin and Elsa were both pretty challenging. Aladdin in particular because we changed his costume. And another artist had done the new sort of design, and I was kind of riffing on their design and kind of making it my own, but still we had taken away a couple really iconic pieces of his costume, his vest, the bare chest, the little hat, like there were
away
just
the
enough
fez.
things. What was that?
The fez.
The fez. That's right. Yeah.
That.
The little hat. And I just felt really nervous about trying to get that right so it was still recognizably Aladdin, because I knew these were going to be on the pack fronts and on, on the marketing facing kind of side of things. And if you don't immediately know it's Aladdin, it's kind of a failure on my part. So I'm not sure I even hit that as hard as I could have, but I'm proud of the card. I think the card turned out well, but it was
Oh, it
definitely
looks
a challenge.
amazing.
Yes.
It's the posing for me with the light coming from the back and the action sword, essentially. A little ruby pendant. It all fits.
Totally.
It's great. So yeah.
John Lauren used to tease me for always posing characters like on the edge of a cliff in the afternoon to the point where we called it Clifternoon, and he's like, he did another Clifternoon, didn't you?
I'm going to be looking out for that on the next set. I'm going to look for Clifternoon.
Yeah.
Wait a
Me
minute.
too.
Wait.
For sure.
So Simba, heir to the
Rightful heir.
Rightful
Not rightful
heir.
heir.
No,
It's,
it's the
Return
tiny.
King.
No,
Oh,
tiny Simba.
Future King.
Yeah,
Future
so
King.
Simba Future King. That's a Clifternoon as well.
A little bit. Yeah.
Sorta.
I just had to think of that. I was like, wait a minute. The sun's going down in that one.
Totally.
and he's standing on a cliff. That's a cliff to noon.
We can call it a Cliff Dawn if you want,
Cliff
because there's
Dawn.
some butterflies in there too, and they wouldn't really be in afternoon.
Fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, he's pretty solidly Clifton Noon. I mean, in all the ways that counts.
Yeah.
For sure. And then that Elsa, I think Elsa's just like, she's such an icon, and so many people who love Elsa really love Elsa. And it's just, some characters are a little more intimidating than others to take on, You just feel like, I can't screw this up. So it just ratchets up the level of challenge a little bit.
Now I think it's Shane Smith who's in charge of the foiling design. Is it Shane Smith?
Shane Hartley?
Shane
No.
Hartley. He was just the creative design, but I spoke to someone at Gen Con that was responsible for placing the foiling, like the foil design of cards. And I was wondering how much, I know they technically are like the lead of deciding, but do you decide where you would prefer? Like, do you have notes on
Not
what this
really,
foil?
no.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it comes down to the kind of file I hand over to them, too. There's, like, their artistic kind of decision as well. But in some cases, we have to hand them a layered file, right? So, like, if the magic and the background and the character aren't, like, well separated in space so that they can take those out and isolate them as elements for the foil, then, their options are a little bit more limited. So sometimes, foiling turns out really well when I have, like, the magic kind of big, swoopy, glowy, glittery stuff all on its own layer when I hand them the
That
file.
makes a lot of sense, because I was wondering why some cards have such detailed foiling and some, like, I can think of like Goofy Daredevil is like it seems like everything around him is foiled.
Yeah.
But there's not a specific part of him that's foiled. It's probably that the layer was not separated essentially for those little things.
That might be a factor. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would
Okay.
I would say that.
That's
It
cool.
might also just be, that everyone's like going as fast as possible, and they're like, whatever works best and
Yeah,
quick.
For sure.
Well, Alex, I think there was something you were going to ask too.
I guess we're gonna go on to the next question that I have here, and basically, what dream character would you like to design coming up besides Powerline? Because we've heard Powerline. We didn't want to give you an easy out, so we wanted to.
Yeah.
We've heard Powerline on another podcast that you did, but
That's
besides
true.
Powerline, even though everybody Powerline is his first choice,
Yes.
so
it's
what's
true.
a good
You know.
backup option?
Oh, you did your research. All right. Oh man. Okay. Besides Powerline, who's my? I mean, damn. There's some killer. I mean, that hasn't been in the game yet, because there's some characters I really would love to like get
Hey,
my hands on more.
You could do both. I mean,
could
if you
do
want to
both.
give us an option that someone's
Lorcana
been,
los dos.
I love Stitch, so I
Yeah,
really
my
want
man.
to get into some Stitch cards. He's so cool, such a fun design. I would love to like see some of the Treasure Planet characters come back around, like Dr. Doppler.
you just
and
spoke to this guy a
Yeah.
lot.
Jim.
Nick.
Yeah.
We're now best friends. I don't know if you know that yet. We're now best friends.
You'll figure it out.
Very good.
I've been there for a while. It's pretty comfy.
Treasure Planet characters would be really cool. That you could
Totally.
some great backgrounds too. There's
Oh, yeah.
so much scene.
I do love that was like one of the first CG experimenting Disney movies.
It's the
But-
first movie that that used both 2D and 3D design for the whole format. So there are moments where the mass majority of it is in 2D, but the background elements, a lot of the background elements, and also a lot of the animals were used in 3D animation. So this is a movie that I really like.
Yeah.
Okay? So I know a lot about
He
it.
does. He does.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a great. I mean,
Yeah, it's-
I love Powerline too. So I hope you
Oh
get that.
my gosh,
that- but
please.
if we see some Treasure Planet with your name on it too, I won't be upset. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our interview, but we really had a great time having you on, Nicholas.
yes, thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has
Oh.
been a real treat for us. High tier guest for the first guest.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Beer
Oh,
One.
yeah.
It's
Don't
pretty
cut
sweet.
Sugi short.
Oh, Sugi was a guest. Yeah.
Sugi's a good second.
Sugi was not on video format.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us about your experience or for any talented budding artists?
First and foremost, just to say thank you. I mean, this has been delightful. You guys are great. I love your content and what you're putting out there. It's awesome to see the hype and the excitement for the cards.
Thank you.
Just in general, I'm just feeling really grateful and very excited to get out there. And if there's anybody listening in from Vancouver, keep your eyes out. I'm all over the local game stores
That's
lately.
awesome.
So SIGs are
jealous.
just to
Gotta
say
make
hi.
a trip to Canada now.
I guess
Thank
one
you.
last little thing, if I can tag it out here. If there is someone else watching who has artistic goals and dreams,
Hmm.
I think what you mentioned in your story can speak a lot to like just having some gusto and taking your shot about when you approach that man and to show him your portfolio. But what's like a little bit of advice you would have for someone who wants to get where you are, some steps they could take to help out?
I think the biggest one lately that I've been thinking about is be stubborn and refuse to go away. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the longer I've been in this industry, the more I have seen people rewarded for just refusing to give up and leave. It's hard sometimes. There are seasons and conditions in the industry that like make it feel like it's going to be impossible, but persistence and consistent presence and just hitting the pavement is the first and most important part of
That's some
of
great
the-
advice because
Very
I can
good.
see a
Oh,
lot
for
of people
sure.
getting discouraged. So that's
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some
Yeah,
people that
like-
definitely need to hear that.
Your other people's success, like it's not your failure. Those are
Yeah.
unrelated things. I think that's a huge one for me too. Is like, yeah, I've seen people way ahead of me and felt discouraged and like, oh my gosh, why even bother drawing? Like I'm never gonna get to that level. But you're not competing directly against them, and even if in any sense you are, like the only way to get there is by sticking it out and refusing to go away.
Oh,
and
for
just
sure.
drawing. So that's the biggest one.
Wonderful. Okay. Well,
Heck
thank
yeah.
you very much, Nick. We've had a blast having you on. We wish you the best. We look forward to seeing more Clifternoons.
Yeah, more
And,
clips.
and
I got you
hopefully,
covered.
hopefully we can have you on again whenever we see those Clifternoons. All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Have a great time
night.
out there, you
Thank
guys.
you.
I'll
Thanks.
be watching.
Well, welcome back, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that Nicholas Cole interview. I know we ourselves were super hyped to have him
Oh,
on
yes.
as a guest.
Such
It was
a great
amazing.
guy.
Sure, for
Awesome
sure.
guest.
So hopefully you found that insight to the artistic process, his game experience as interesting as we did. But the last segment of the show we want to have is the section dedicated to you, the audience members, and it is our mailbag section. If you would like to get a question answered on the show, we send out a tweet and a YouTube community post roughly within 24 hours of recording the show, just so we can have some pretty topical information. But I think today's questions really encompass the kind of questions we're looking for.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, the first question we're going to discuss, which it will pop on the screen, is from Holden Pop 12. Holden Pop 12 says, "What mechanics and Disney franchises are you excited about being added to the game? What ink colors do you think they will be classified in?" I think the second part of the question is the most interesting to answer, honestly. Like, what ink colors do we see them fitting in? But I know myself, I am really looking forward to cards that give anthem effects. After seeing the
Oh,
tribal
yeah.
synergies, I'm really, and even seeing stuff like Hades, I'm looking forward
Oh,
to
yeah.
those extra pieces that benefit Storyborns, Dreamborns, or heroes, or princes.
Or
We know-
allies.
or allies. Stuff like that would be just giving them like +1 strength across the board. It changes the entire deck building process. And I really think the example I just gave, like hearing about a character type and then giving it +1 strength, that's an Amber thing. 100% that's an Amber thing.
It's also a steel thing.
A Steel thing could do it
because
with Mickey Musketeer.
Yeah, Mickey Musketeer does that.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty unique. Is there anything else like mechanics wise y'all can think of that?
I
You would-
want to see a little bit of graveyard English. Manipulation. Oh man,
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit of that. I would like to see maybe like a Hades doing something, bringing people back to life or something like
Get
that.
action to the
or-
battlefield instead of to the
Exactly.
hand. Yeah.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
love.
but
to
just
see
to
something
ruin
like that.
everybody, it's got to be in green.
Oh, that would be tough. That would be
Man,
It would have to be very uninkable.
It still feels like an Amber thing. So
yeah, it does.
I mean, Amber dealing with characters coming back and everything.
What about Disney franchises if you don't have a mechanic?
Have a mechanic.
You already have Treasure Planet in the game, Tyler. And you
You want to see more of it. We know that, but
You
you got to
wanna-
pick a new franchise.
new franchise that's Disney, proper Disney.
Yeah, like
It is still proper Disney,
Come
dang
on.
it.
Just pick something else. Then.
Pick something else
Fine.
Just for
other
fun.
than
What's
Kingdom
I want
Hearts.
to do a mechanic. While you're
Kingdom
thinking.
Hearts.
So mechanic. While you're thinking, I guess for me, I want to see more something. Not. I know you said like banish pile graveyard manipulation, but I'm thinking like deck manipulation. I don't want necessarily a tutor.
Like
but-
a card that searches for a
But
card out of your deck.
card that either searches for like a specific card, maybe, or I kind of want to see more shuffle effects,
Oh yeah,
more effects because I think only thing is the broom right now.
yeah.
That shuffles. I definitely want to see more of that. We did in our very, very, very first podcast talk about trample effect, but we kind of
Oh, that
got
would be
that.
cool.
We kind of
Yeah.
got that with when you challenge and
Still
take out a
lore.
character,
Yeah.
You
take
remove
a
lore
lore
from them.
You take
Yeah.
lore, so that we kind of got that. But I also would like to see, and I think we've spoke about this a little bit. It's kind of a mechanic, but kind of not. But like when you like we've talked about a ruby, saying when you challenge and banish a character, draw a card.
Yes.
So
I want that
it's not
so
it's not
bad.
a mechanic, but it's like
yeah.
it's two mechanics in
Yeah.
one. You know, challenge
More
and banishing.
more
Yeah.
benefiting from getting challenges that are successful.
Exactly.
That's what I
So
would really, really love
that,
to see.
and like I said, I wouldn't hate some sort of tutoring, but not like tutor any card.
Yeah.
So specific tutoring.
Tyler,
maybe.
I can see your face, and so can the audience. What on earth are you itching to say?
Mighty Ducks.
Mighty
Okay.
Ducks.
I'm with you.
But
Okay.
Specific-
on the same-
Okay.
specifically, do you remember the cartoon, the original cartoon?
Yes.
That came, so you had
it's
yeah,
scratching the brain.
yeah. So the Mighty Ducks franchise, obviously, like the movies specifically, like with Emilio Estevez and that whole cast. Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What I'm specifically talking about is the cartoon franchise that came out because of those.
They're actually
movies.
ducks.
They're actually
Yeah.
ducks.
Yeah.
And it's such a great.
They
That's
play
a very
hockey.
unique one.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do play
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
They still play hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very
They
unique
are
one.
ducks that play hockey.
Sure, why not?
I just want to extend it a little bit since we got the ducks. Can we do like Tailspin? But the one I really want to go for is Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
Ooh, that would
Darkwing
be cool.
Duck.
Let's
gosh.
get dangerous.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so dope.
I'd like to see all
I am the bird that
kids.
flaps
in the
Dewey,
night.
Dewey, Louie, and
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
yeah,
Yep,
Huey,
Huey,
Dewey,
Dewey, and
They
Louie.
would be
Yeah.
cool to
I'm
see.
losing
Yeah.
it over here.
Those would be cool.
Like a Scrooge deck. You could
Oh,
almost
Scrooge
make
would be
just
awesome.
a dope deck with just ducks.
Scrooge
or
is all about
something.
stealing your lore.
I want,
my
I want,
gosh, that'd
I
be
want
so
one.
dope.
I want one more line for Darkwing Duck, just
Okay.
because I can do it. I am the bug that splats on the windshield of crime.
Now y'all know who's always saying that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's good. That's good.
You just mentioned
Franchises.
Scrooge. You just mentioned Scrooge, and I
Yep.
cannot think
Scrooge
of something
McDuck,
better
yeah.
than a Scrooge effect. In Emerald, Scrooge, literally, you play him, you take the ink from your opponent, you put it on
Take
your
ink.
side. It's resources.
Oh my gosh.
You just take one
That
ink.
would
You
be
could be
insane.
You could overcost him, where to the point where it's played in
You
the
can come
game
in
at a
exerted.
point. Yeah,
You can take it exerted.
Comes in exerted, take an ink, exert the ink as well. You know, like
That's
that
what I'm saying.
would-
No, the ink's exerted.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I
you
was
could-
thinking.
That'd be insane.
it would be a greedy effect,
Yeah.
right? Or you build a card that literally is greedy. Like it just hoards resources where you could say every turn it gains +1 lore. I mean, you'd have to track it. That'd
If
be
you
really
don't quest,
complicated. If you don't
it's-
quest,
yeah.
it gains 1 lore. And it just gets a bigger and bigger clock. It has ward, of course, so you can't just answer it. But
That'd
that'd
be
be
sick.
I could dream up.
He's
I'd
got
like it a
security.
lot.
Other
got security.
franchises for me, I want to see the Toy Story franchise. I've spoken
Yeah,
on that.
Pixar is being
Yeah.
involved. Yeah.
Pixar being involved. Toy Story would be a big one for
What's
me.
a card from Toy Story you want to see, and what ink color would it be in?
Oh gosh.
Say it, just
It's
say
it's
it.
gonna be Buzz Lightyear.
Thank you.
Of
Yeah,
course.
Buzz Lightyear. But what would Buzz be? I mean,
Well, he can fly. We know he can fly.
so evasive.
He's evasive.
Emerald. I'm going Emerald
I agree.
because I think he would have some flexible like
Yeah.
when he what if when he quests he shot his little laser
Yeah.
like Lilo's laser when he quests do one.
that's pretty
But
cool.
that's kind of like Hans too. So
But in Emerald, it'd be
yeah,
unique. You know,
Yeah,
It's a-
and Emerald, and he would have evasive. Oh god,
Yeah.
Guys, he's a busted card.
It's a
It's
great
Buzz
card.
Lightyear.
So there is one other franchise that I do feel like needs to be brought up, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean. I know that it's a live action, but it's been done in Kingdom Hearts as a
Oh, I
as
get
a,
what you're
as a
saying.
usable
The
franchise.
the animated.
So they
animated
have an
versions.
animated version of it
I could
Okay.
see it.
that
Okay.
would be able to. It would fit.
Mhm.
I mean, we got Elsa, and that's
Mhm.
animated but in 3D.
Well, Moana as well.
Yeah,
3D animation is not a limitation.
Yeah.
It's still animation, but we could see it.
I've seen an animated version of Captain Jack. I think it could do it.
I want to give a special shout out to I want to Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
He can be Ruby. I don't care. Just do something crazy.
Yeah, he's reckless.
Yeah,
Literally.
Gotta be reckless.
And it could be
It's in
this,
the name.
like, special wording, like put a W in front of the reckless. Like it's literally reckless. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty funny.
that'd be
I like it.
awesome.
Flavor
Yeah.
wins.
Anything else? Anybody?
Pocahontas. I've
Oh,
said
yeah.
it multiple times.
Yeah.
Pocahontas is what I want. in
You
the
know
game.
we're gonna get into the
I
next
want
one.
Colors of the Wind, but Colors of the Wind would have to be. We know what would be really interesting now that I thought about it. If there was ever a set where they make hybrid color cards.
That would be the card.
A ruby and sapphire card that could only be played in ruby sapphire decks.
Ah.
If they ever had that, you would have to make that like some kind of weirdly all 6 colors in one card that you could technically play like one copy of it, but you could play it in any deck. We're jumping all over the place, but it's painting with all the colors of the wind. Like, how could you not?
I see where you're going.
Whatever
with that.
color of ink gets colors of the wind, we've clearly established is Lorcana's design team's favorite color ink because it can paint with all the colors.
So basically, a card that's considered all colors. Then
Yeah, that would be interesting to
That'd
me.
be very interesting.
Well,
one rainbow
what
card in
else?
the entire game.
Yeah.
Yep.
The next question. Thank you so much, Holden Pop 12, for your question.
For sure.
The next question comes from Troubadour88 or Joshua on Twitter. And he says, have you guys ever hosted any other podcasts before? Also, it was cool to hear that Jacob teaches science as a profession. Thank you. What do the other members of the RSD crew do when they're not providing awesome Lorcana content? Thank you very much for the
Very
compliment.
appreciate
Thank you
that.
so much.
And there was one little tag onto it from Brimley Games. Ooh, love this question. We do too. To add to this, I would love to know what other hobbies you guys have outside of TCGs. So first off, they know I'm a teacher. I teach science. What are you doing?
Wait, no. First off,
Oh,
this is the only podcast we've done.
yes.
yeah.
As a group.
As
Yeah.
yes.
As
Yeah.
a group.
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you've done a podcast now, you can talk
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
as well. So
So I've hosted a podcast called Honestly Speaking. It's one of my other friends, and we've done a podcast together. There's about 7 episodes out. I have also, I mean, I've been on a bunch of podcasts, but
Mhm.
that's
that's when you've
point.
hosted.
But that's when
with-
I've
yeah.
actually hosted. Let's see. So outside of this, or outside of podcasting, I am my job title changes every week, I feel like. So I'm like an on-site desk advocate, help desk advocate,
Yeah.
basically. So I work on computers, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bore you with details, but I
Yeah.
work on computers. And my side hobbies are, for instance, this is my podcast studio.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I mean, I might as well point that out. So,
Check it out,
It is
everybody.
him. This is him.
This is where we've been recording, but
Yeah,
this
so
is
I-
now the visuals.
I run a podcasting business. I also have a bunch of other side businesses, t-shirts. I do photography. I do a bunch of different things. So
He's
hobbies,
a man of many
Many
hats.
talents. Many talents as well, yeah.
Let's see, hobbies, of course.
So many
playing
side
cards.
businesses.
Yeah, I got a lot. I need to chill. So for hobbies, I love to play video games. Of course, other TCGs with the guys. Other than that, I used to draw. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I used to draw, and I mean that's about it.
Okay.
Hobby wise.
I'll pass myself because I've already answered the first part of the question.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. So as for what we do for our job, I work for a franchise in town, and I do basically a little bit of everything. It is a fast food franchise, and we have it's a lot going on. So I do district management work for the franchise, as well as doing finance, accounting, human resources stuff, which human resources kind of comes in the district managing, but really just everything there is to do with the business. As well as helping keep rent rolls for a couple shopping centers. So kind of just all in all, just a little bit of everything, but those are my main hats and everything. As far as hobbies outside of it, play video games is getting less now. I have a 1-year-old daughter, so that takes up a lot of time, and
Little
That in and of itself is a hobby that is eternal.
it is, and I'm her personal jester. If you don't know this, like you find out real quick, anything to make that baby smile, that's happening. So definitely that. But other than that, really like sports. I mean, we all used to play basketball together at one point. We've gotten older since then, but
a lot older.
Lost a few knees.
also watching football. I like watching football, so that's another.
We're in a fantasy football.
fantasy football league.
yeah.
So that'd be other hobbies outside of this, but that's mostly it. What about you, Tyler?
So as far as what I do for a living, I'm in sales. I sell appliances and furniture, and it's as glamorous as it sounds. As
So
far as
shiny.
it's so shiny. But yeah, so I do a lot of sales, and then I do this, and this is my other fun thing that I get to do. As far as hobbies, I play basically every card game known to man.
Yeah.
Apparently, 'cause that's what people apparently expect of me. But as you know, outside of TCGs, I typically like to play video games. I
got one for you.
Yeah, I do.
Bowling.
I do like to go bowling with
Yep.
my dad. I love art. A lot of the backgrounds that you guys see as far as like our
The
original
lessons stuff.
our original logo, the lessons, a lot of that was done by me.
Mhm.
I really have enjoyed doing that, and I will continue to enjoy doing that. I love to do the editing. Like that is something that I really enjoy doing as a spare time thing.
You like creating.
I
That's what
do
would say.
love creating.
Yeah, for sure.
I love being the creative, and I love watching anime.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I freaking
You
love
didn't,
hobby in
even,
itself.
you didn't
watching.
even mention
That's a
that.
hobby
And I was
in
like,
itself.
how did you not?
I'm
Is it
looking over to
hobbies?
Anthony, and it's like,
Hobbies.
No,
sir,
it's a hobby.
that is a hobby.
That's a hobby.
Because that is a time sink.
Yeah.
Because I can sit, especially tomorrow, because by the way, tomorrow is my day off. You know what I'm doing with my day off? I'm watching all of One Piece.
Well, not all of
no,
it.
Yeah,
no,
I was like-
no. So for those of you who don't know, go on Netflix, watch the live action. Apparently pretty good. I finished watching the first episode. Actually, really, really good. I'm looking forward
That's
to
what you're
watching
gonna
it.
finish.
Yeah, all of the first season.
Okay, I was about to
of-
say you
Exactly.
can't finish the anime.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
I just started the
See,
anime recently.
I'm caught
and
up.
it's a daunting task.
Yeah, no, I'm caught up on the anime. I watch it for those of you who don't know, watch it every single Saturday. But no, watching anime, watching really just movies in general. I also am the guy who does all the voices, so it's creating continues to be kind of that same hat that I like to carry around everywhere. So yeah.
And I guess to finish out the question from my side of things, as you all know, I am a high school science teacher. I love science, love the process of learning. My hobbies outside of TCGs are a lot of different media. So I love like movies. I love watching movies. I'm the kind of person who, when I watch a movie, like Oppenheimer, for example, I'll go watch Oppenheimer, a 3-hour movie at the theater. And then I'll go watch a 3-hour breakdown of Oppenheimer on YouTube.
Yep, that's you.
And then after I watch
That
that
checks out,
breakdown,
for sure.
I'll then go to comment sections and I'll discuss for 3 hours. And then I soak in everything that I do and I just absorb. Because one of my favorite things to do, as cheesy as it sounds, one of my favorite things to do in my entire life is learn. I like to learn new things, not just so I can share them, but so I can feel like I'm growing, literally, right? So I love doing that. So that leads me to be a jack of all trades kind of person where I really dip my toes into a lot of stuff. One thing you didn't mention that I know we've done together, and you, Tyler, is we've played golf together.
Oh, yeah.
So like different
I
sports.
said
and
sports,
stuff.
but
Yeah, sports.
We've golfed together. I love.
We still golf.
Love
I still golf.
football. Yeah, we still golf.
I don't get to
Um,
golf as much.
Yeah. So I love the football, like the NFL.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
fantasy football, stuff like that. But I would say my number one hobby is like movies and like
Yeah.
soaking
Oh, yeah.
in movies. Me and my wife watch movies all the time. So it's our go-to hobby. We love TV as well, but
It makes me happy when you randomly watch things that I know for a fact that I would love to watch.
yeah.
It's
Because I can talk about it
yeah,
afterwards.
because I'm like, wait a minute, are you what? Okay,
Yeah.
Can we talk about that later? Yeah,
Yeah.
just call me.
Nice.
Anybody who knows me knows that if I like something, you will know
Oh,
that
yeah,
I like it.
for
So
sure.
We're going to talk about
For
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Lord of
But-
the Rings, Star Wars,
Yeah.
basically everything that has to do with any sort of fantasy or sci-fi genre that is a franchise, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much, Joshua and Brimley, for your questions. We appreciate those questions a lot because it was the first chance that we had to really let the audience members get to know us and without us just bringing it up ourselves. We appreciated that. So that does it for episode 13 of Ready, Set, Live.
Episode 13 of the podcast, episode 1
Episode
of being
1.
live with you.
Yes. Video format. All right. Well, I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Digital Me, take us out. Thanks again, guys, for listening to Ready, Set, Live. If you could, like and share the content and subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting that notification bell for updates on when we post new content. Don't forget to leave a comment as we check for any questions that you guys might have, as well as things to add to our mailbag portion of the podcast. And who knows, maybe your question will be answered in the next episode. And thanks again to Texarkana Podcast Studio for their contribution in making this episode possible. As always, this is the crew from Ready Set Draw, ending our turn.